Hello, everyone, and welcome to Perceptions with Chris Gutman. Advancing gently over the wooden floors of the Albertina Gallery in Vienna, my family and I perused the impactful precision of Albrecht Dürer's work. A craftsman beset on hunting for truth. A man whose legacy reaches beyond the realm of art. It was my daughter's first time at an exhibition, and she was taking it all in with the unbounded zest only a child can muster. Zest, what a word! Much like inhaling northern lights through twinkling eyes. A sensation many adults pursue and may experience in short bursts if they're lucky. Perhaps we're prone to a wistful trade-off for gaining more stamina as we get older. Eventually, we had to carry her as her little feet became tired and she grew weary of the crowds. She didn't know why she was there after all, or that she was doing me a huge favor. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to be close to the man who helped me see my role in the bigger picture and understand the following quandary. Taking a bird's eye view, our lives are defined by certain truths that form the parameters of our existence. If our expectations, hopes, and ambitions, our ideas about the way in which we relate to others and engage with our surroundings reach beyond these limitations, we are trying to attain the unattainable or escape the inescapable. Either way, what we're trying to achieve is destined to fail within the confines of reality. Attempts made in opposition to this fact are futile. We cannot read other people's minds or expect them to decipher ours. We can't determine the future or change the past. We all have to face death at some point and cope with the uncertainty. Unless new discoveries and innovations alter said notions, these truths dictate the conditions we are subject to, and obtaining them through a clear lens would decidedly improve the quality of our lives. Yet, futile attempts are commonplace, and coming to terms with these boundaries isn't easy. At least, not for me. The skirmishes of life pull the rug from under my lofty views each and every time. Whenever I think I've arrived, I find myself lost at sea. What role can I, of all people, play in garnering a means of bringing us a step closer to the truth? The irony of someone like me writing a blog still hasn't escaped me. I can't really read or write the way other people do. In fact, I don't read and write. I comb and carve. That may sound cool, but it actually alludes to the type of concentration I have to put myself through to produce a piece of writing. Once there, it is only with reluctance that I unwind the handle of the vice. Do you remember that kid in class who was half asleep, daydreaming, or slow on the uptake? Yep, that was me. I was good at PE. My family, friends, and supportive teachers got me through school. While my father helped me with trigonometry into the late hours of the night, I used to gawk at his bookshelf with awe and trepidation. So much knowledge. So many words, I wish I could read it all. One name kept appearing in my dad's collection, and that name was Karl Popper. My father used to rave about Popper's insights and humility, which made me very curious, but fear and low competence are formidable adversaries. More than 20 years after finishing school, I plucked up the courage to read his work upon my return to university. It helped that Popper was part of the curriculum. Hunkering on selected morsels of his text, I seemed at times to encounter my own thoughts, only put together in a clearer and more intelligible way than I ever could. Thoughts that I merely brushed at, or that were whizzing around in my mind, were elegantly organized, crushed, and ground to iridescent dust. I was in the presence of a great thinker. Popper tackles truth by taking an intuitive look at Alfred Tarski's correspondence theory of objective truth. Tarski, a logician and mathematician, formulated his idea of truth in terms of how statements correspond to facts. The assertion that Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system is true insofar as it corresponds to the facts. For example, a denotation of the criteria of what constitutes a planet, the measurement of the circumference or mass of Jupiter compared to other planets, and the inclusivity of planets within the boundary of our solar system. Independently of the facts, a competing view that Saturn is the largest planet in our solar system shows that objective truth may make relativism inadmissible. Because both could be false, one could be more accurate than the other, but they cannot both be true. Subjective truth, on the other hand, can be well founded to some individuals and cultures, but not to others. For example, morals, customs, names and borders of countries, and the value of their currencies. Popper argues that something may be true, although we may not have any good reasons for it to be so. Alternatively, we may have excellent reasons to believe that something is true when it is in fact false. Followingly, objective truth may invalidate solipsistic views of truth. For if we knew nothing of these facts, or if the human race ceased to exist, the assertion that Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system would still be true insofar as it still corresponds to the facts. Objective as opposed to subjective truth doesn't require coherence, knowledge, or usefulness. It isn't built on some kind of belief, social norm, or reliable success, and therefore free from pragmatic, individual, or a class of constraints. An idea about the world may be true or untrue, whether we agree with it, know about it, believe in it, grew up with it, or quite frankly, whether we like it or not. This humbling notion results in an ensuing problem. As a child, I learned that the Neanderthal was our ancestor. This turned out to be false when it was discovered that the Homo sapiens lived alongside and competed with the Neanderthal. Now it has come to light that non-African individuals have 3% Neanderthal DNA, which means that Homo sapiens intermarried with Neanderthals. So we are, at least in part, descended from the Neanderthal. Or try these for good measure. We used to have 9 planets in our solar system. Now we have 8. The periodic table used to have 109 elements, now it has 118. Fat used to be fattening, but now carbohydrates are the true enemy. It was said that red wine was healthy, after which it was healthy in small doses. Then 1 glass of red wine per day was healthy, but only for men. At this moment, risks to the cardiovascular and immune system posed by the alcohol content far outweighs any health benefits red wine may have, and therefore it isn't healthy. Make up your bloody mind, will you? What on earth are you going to come up with next? Can I keep drinking red wine until the next study shows that it is in fact healthy? Facetiousness aside, this process points to the tendency of our knowledge to continually adjust to new developments and discoveries, an idea embellished by Xenophon 2,500 years before. Open quote. And even if by chance man were to utter the perfect truth, he would himself not know it, for all is but a woven web of guesses. Close quote. The acquisition of knowledge as guesswork invokes a gradual stepping forward into the unknown, inch by inch, with the idea of truth as the needle on a tightly held compass. Like a child, stumbling in the dark, reaching out into a void and colliding with the unexpected. Yet, forging ahead, the child gently palpates textures and contours and assembles an internal map of its surroundings piecemeal with its fingertips, gently balancing the familiar with the unfamiliar. But the map is not the territory, and there's the rub. Every attempt is merely a provisional solution. Every blunder a prediction error forcing the mind to regroup. The child's journey is a discovery of a series of errors that gives rise to new problems, and alas, all life is problem-solving. Yet Popper argues that with each and every step, no matter how wrong-footed, we can gradually eliminate failed attempts. Moreover, focusing on possible but improbable hypotheses would maximize the production and hence the elimination of error, allowing us to gain a better approximation of reality. We may never know what it is, but we may get closer by knowing what it isn't. I suppose the most important word in the preceding sentence has got to be we. The fact that all individuals are confined to a subjective experience of the world is aptly illustrated by the lyricized parable of the blind man and the elephant by John G. Sachs. It was 10 men of Indostan, to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. The first approached the elephant, and, happening to fall against his broad and sturdy side, at once began to bawl, "God bless me, but the elephant is nothing but a wall." The second, feeling of the tusk, cried, "Ho! What have we here? So very round and smooth and sharp? To me it's mighty clear, this wonder of an elephant is very like a spear." The third approached the animal, and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, "I see," quoth he, "the elephant is very like a snake." The fourth reached out his eager hand and felt about the knee. "What most this wondrous beast is like is mighty plain," quoth he. "'Tis clear enough, the elephant is very like a tree." The fifth, who chanced to touch the ear, said, "E'en the blindest man can tell what this resembles most. Deny the fact who can, this marvel of an elephant is very like a fan." The sixth no sooner had begun about the beast to grope, than, seizing on the swinging tail that fell within his scope, "I see," quoth he, "the elephant is very like a rope." And so these men of Indostan disputed loud and long, each in his own opinion exceeding stiff and strong, though each was partly in the right, and all were in the wrong. So oft in theologic wars the disputants, I ween, tread on in utter ignorance of what each other mean, and prate about the elephant not one of them has seen. Though this poem pertains to theology, it can be applied here. Hence let's assume this is really happening, and the blind men have never heard of this thing called an elephant. Each of them touches a different part of the elephant and thinks their view resembles the truth. Yet the story doesn't end there. They do not agree to disagree or regard each view as equally valid. They do not jump to the conclusion that epistemic humility or the condition of subjectivity mean that the elephant doesn't exist. They are in dispute with one another, letting their perspectives compete. Yet the story need not end there still. Imagine more and more blind men touching the elephant, sharing, discussing, comparing, and contrasting their views with others. Slowly the information would accumulate, and the shape of an elephant would gradually emerge. In his criticism, Sachs may have paved the way to this type of discourse by arguing that blind men are, to learning much inclined, and yet ignorant of what each other mean. A desire to learn what is truly out there may afford an effort to understand each other in an act of collaboration for the sake of truth, instead of derision or collusion to maintain positions, tribal allegiances, or a safe seat on the ship of harmony steadily gliding towards a precipice. So to return to the pivotal question above, what role can I, of all people, play in garnering a means of bringing us a step closer to the truth? I'm slightly naive, a late starter, a stumbler in the dark. I'm publishing something here for the whole world to see, and I can't say that I'm entirely comfortable with that. Yet in Popper's thoughts on an evolutionary epistemology, I chanced upon a quote by none other than the aforementioned Albrecht Dürer, which helped me understand my part in our ascension toward a mountain range, with its peaks wrapped up in a dense fog. We are not alone on this journey, but are traveling together towards a blind summit. Open quote. But I shall let the little I have learnt go forth into the day in order that someone better than I may guess the truth, and in his work may prove and rebuke my error. At this I shall rejoice, that I was yet a means whereby this truth has come to light. Close quote. Thank you for listening.